thank you. I'd like to call the meeting of the Facility Committee together. Roll call, please.
Hardkey.
Here.
Quisenberry. Rector. Here. Rosales.
Here.
Schwartz. Anderson. Maxwell.
On item 10, item 12 of the agenda, closed session to consider leases in the future. Staff was not able to get all the numbers together in time for tonight's meeting, so I would like to have the agenda amended to delete item 12, and I'd like to have a motion, if possible, to have the agenda approved as amended. Mr. Rector, Mr. Hartke, second. The next item would be approval of the minutes of the February 2nd. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Next item, the approval of the February 2nd, 2016 minutes.
Second.
Ms. Schwartz and Mr. Hartke. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Do we have any public participation? I have no slips. It doesn't appear to be anybody in the audience. So I think I will call the public participation portion of this meeting closed. Thank you. Item 7 is approval of, communications, item 6. Are there any communications from any of the participants in tonight's meeting? I have none. If hearing none, I will then move on to the next item on the agenda, which is item 7. At this point in time, I would like a motion to approve the authorization of the issuance of an invitation to bid, ITB number 2016-003, for the Brookins Pod number 200 roof replacement project. And as part of the discussion, then we will ask Dana to give us an update. But I would like a motion and a second.
So moved.
Mr. Rosales? Okay, Ms. Schwartz. Dana, would you like to fill us in, please?
Thanks, Gary. Excuse me. Shortly after the February 2nd Facilities Committee meeting, I contacted Isaac Laram and Wachter here in Urbana and asked them to provide us with a proposal to do the architectural services for the Brookins Pod 200 roof replacement. These services would include design, construction documentation, bidding assistance, and then construction oversight. The document in your packet kind of defines most of those things for you. Hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at it. It is a lot. Keep in mind that we have we've put together a bid document that can be used in a lot of different projects, various sizes. So it's a standardized size or standardized document for the county to be utilized. It gives us good protection. It provides us with adequate coverage, I believe. That's why we use it. And the assistance we get with either you're dealing with an architectural firm or an engineering firm, and oversight is tremendous. To have a third party involved through the bid process takes a lot of weight and onus off of us and the county in terms of conducting a bid in a fair manner and fair process. On page 168 of the document that was handed out is the proposal from IGW. The cost for their service is not to exceed $19,800. They have estimated, based upon a number of roofs that they have done, that will be well below the $350,000 price estimate that we were given by tile specialists, TSI Roofing. That obviously is a positive. They believe it to be in the 200 range or lower if we can get it out. I'm very interested in getting this done and moving it forward as quickly as possible. I'd like to get the roof done in May, having looked at a number of precipitation rates for this area of Illinois. May is one of the lower times, and it's a great time to do it. It also then provides us with an opportunity to get, once we determine the bid price, we'll have a better idea as we look at the master plan for this year, the other project list. Are we going to be able to do one boiler replacement or two boiler replacements? And those projects we really would like to get done and moving and accomplished by the end of the summer at the latest. For those who don't know, we do turn off the boilers during the summer. It's a great time to be able to do that, but to turn back on usually sometime in late September. So it's important to get that done early. On page 173, you can see a schedule for the Pod 200 roof replacement. That was included within your packet. Our goal, should this committee approve the release of this bid, is to post and advertise beginning Thursday, March 3rd. Open bid submittals on March 31st, and then get this project kicked off and started and completed in the month of May, or at the latest, the beginning of June.
Okay, are there any questions or any further discussion? Josh, please.
Yeah, Dana, what type of roof is this? I mean, could you describe it generally, what kind of we're talking here?
Yeah, well, first of all, we'd be pulling off the existing material, and we believe there's 2 layers of roofing material up there, getting rid of that, going down to the bare metal decking. We would bring in 6-inch insulation, board insulation, and over top of that would be EPDM rubber, probably 60 millimeters, I believe, is specified in the bid document.
I mean, and
It's a white.
It's white.
It's
Okay.
also white. The reason it's white is that it reflects heat. The black surface does a nice job, certainly during the winter in helping melt snow, but it has no assistance. It just sucks in the heat during the summer, and I'd rather bounce off a few of those rays and slow down the heat. It's a bigger issue during the summer.
Very good, thank you.
And it's also not a ballasted roof. It's a glued down surface.
Other questions? All right. Please, yes, Deb.
There's just one thing missing in the schedule. I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to realize that before now, but the county board will have to approve this contract. So that April 21st, 2016 date is when the contract would actually be approved. And you may have to push some of the items you have between April 5th and April 21st to right after April 21st.
Yes, ma'am. My oversight, apologies.
I believe that we can go out for the invitation to bid at this point, though, just by committee action. Is that correct? Okay. We have a motion on the floor to approve the authorization of the issuance of an invitation to bid ITB 2016-003, Brookins Pod number 200 roof replacement. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. Item number 8, the facility director's report. Dana.
Yep. First, I apologize for not getting the FY 2016 capital assets list into the document. We had an issue here, and it did not get included within the board packet or the committee's packet. So in front of you, I believe you should find a handout titled Champaign County Facilities FY 2016 Capital Asset Projects. This is the document that we were asked at the February 2nd meeting to rework, reprioritize. I believe they are in the order that this committee asked us to provide. So present that to you for your review. If there's any issues, questions?
Any questions, issues? I believe it's pretty much what we'd ask him to do. Hearing none, I think we'll move on. Go ahead, Dana.
Okay. Also in front of you, and it relates to the capital asset project list, is a proposed Brookins boiler replacement project schedule. Again, we'd like to bid out the roof and find out the cost of the roof by by the end of March. And in April, reach out and contact an engineering group to work with to put together documentation similar to what we did for the roof project. I will note that we'll also add on here, Deb, making sure once the bid comes back in, then it gets presented, besides this group, to the full board for approval, my oversight. With the boiler replacement project, as I mentioned earlier, really like to get that done during the summer. In August would be my preference. There will be some time once a successful low bidder is selected and getting boilers ordered and on site. They're not generally something that is on stock of this size. So it'll take some lead time to get here. So that gives us enough time to get them here and to really do the work in the month of August. Next is an update on our lint filtration project, which is just kind of kicking off. All the materials that the various contractors have ordered have arrived. They're here for this project. Early work consisting of doing some basic plumbing, electric, has been going on and has had very little impact to date on the nursing home residents and staff. The pad for the lint filtration unit has been poured. The unit itself, the filtration unit, has been set actually on the pad. And if you'll turn to a handout that was set in front of you, the title is GHR Engineers and Associates, Inc. These are meeting notes from a meeting that took place at 11 o'clock this morning. Just some basic notes, but you can, if you turn the page, you can see some brief pictures. The first one is just an interior shot showing some holes drilled through the nursing room floor that will allow conduit to come up through and electric that will power ultimately the lint filtration system, as well as some other equipment being put in place. You can turn the pages and see the large unit itself that sits out there. The last page gives you an idea. The wall that you see there by the window will be boring through sometime next week and starting to hook up our duct work. So project is, like I said before, moving along very well. We're working very closely with nursing home staff. We've got a domestic water outage to be scheduled, as well as water from the heater boilers, an outage to be scheduled. Those outages will be, we'll work very closely with the nursing home staff. They'll happen at hours that there's very little use. What time is that? That's generally midnight to 6 a.m. There'll be short outages in duration. There'll be 2 of them. So 2 to 3, maybe 4 hours is all that will be needed to cut in what is needed for this project. Next week, we plan to cut into the exterior wall to start the duct work. The following week, we will actually take out of service 3 of the dryers and begin the process to hook those up to this new filtration system. During that period of time, nursing home staff will have 2 dryers to work with and be able to continue to do all of their laundry at site. That following week, we'll kind of reverse that. The 3 dryers will be back in service, and we'll take the last 2 out. So this project should conclude by the end of March, but it's moving forward, and the contractor has been very gracious with his schedule, and that, obviously, the nursing home staff really appreciates. So any questions, concerns? Fire dampers. As of Friday, the 26th of February, our contractor had finished 941 had finished identifying 941 smoke and fire dampers within the building. By that same Friday, he'd actually finished inspecting 900. A very small percentage, less than a dozen, were non-operable. They are operable now. They've got less than approximately 30 to complete. He hopes to have them done by the end of this week, possibly Monday. There's a number of other bits of work that has to be concluded yet. He's identified about 60 access panels that have to be cut in. He's got 40 in. He's waiting on about 20 more access panel doors to be shipped in to the project. And he's got probably a good week, maybe 8 days of caulking, using fire caulk into the firewalls and the flange where these dampers are. We've got probably 60 or 70 of these dampers that we found. We're not completely flush with the drywall or with the firewall and or drywall, and allowed air to escape in between the flange, meaning that you could supply oxygen even though that the damper was closed. So we again anticipate finishing this project up later this month in plenty of time. Our report back to IDPH is due April 15th. And contractor will assist with documentation, as well as GHR, who's helping oversee it, and then putting together as-built plans for the fire dampers and access doors, so that the nursing home and physical plant will have that, and will be able to do a better job of dispersing this over an annual basis instead of doing it one time every 4 years. We'll divide it up into 25% of the project. So. Any questions?
Well, thank you, Dana. It's a good report. Sounds like you're making some pretty good progress over at the nursing home, especially. The next item would be a designation of items to be placed on the, the next item would be the semi-annual review, and that'd be number 9 of the closed session minutes. State's attorney has advised that there are none subject to review at this point in time, but you all have had a chance to look at the packets and initial them, and if you could turn those back in, we'd appreciate it. Deb?
You need a motion to maintain the closed session minutes as closed.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. All right, the chair's report. The future meetings, we will have the Facilities Committee study session, 6 p.m. in this room, March the 29th. And would appreciate as a good solid attendance, because we have many issues to discuss. And hopefully by the 29th, we'll have the numbers put together and possible programs that we're considering. And hope we have a good, lively discussion at the study session. So encourage everybody to attend the study session on March the 29th. The next meeting of the Facilities Committee meeting will be Tuesday, April the 5th, 2016. We'll start with a tour of the coroner's office, the election supply storage, and the physical plant. And the tour will begin at 5:15 and conclude by 6:10 p.m. Please meet at the coroner's parking lot at 5:20 p.m. on April 5th. I'm sorry. Questions? 5:15 or 5:20?
tour starts at 5:15, what time do you want us there, sir?
It looks like it's turned around.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's be at the
Yeah.
parking lot at 5:15 and start the tour at 5:20. I don't know why I didn't catch that. Thank you. Any other questions about the upcoming meetings? If not, I'll move on to the item 11, and there are no items to be placed on the consent agenda. And at this point in time, it looks to me like we could entertain an item called adjournment. Those in, motion?
So moved.
All right, motion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Let it be shown that we adjourned at, what, 6:50. Thank you all for coming and for such a good meeting. Thank you.